get us started here for the day, get this show on the road. It's funny, my freshmen, we had a particularly short session on Tuesday. It was like 25 minutes of Zooming, and then I was like, go do this task. And all of them kind of freaked out. They were like, wait, is that it for our Zoom today? Like, can we be in here longer? Are we supposed to be in here longer? I was like, your teacher decides that. Some of your Zooms will be really short. Some of them will be longer. It just depends on what the teacher has planned for the class that day. So if there's any confusion around that, your teacher gets to decide how long you need to Zoom for the day, and then they usually have something you go off and do. So, if they make that decision, you're not doing anything wrong. That was their choice. So I just thought that was kind of funny. So anyway, all right. I'm going to share my screen, get my 2 screens set up here, which is still takes me a minute. There's my email. It's cool. There we go. That's better. I got to get the participants up here and the chat up here on my other screen. All right. So here's the deal. Let's go over yesterday first. So Wednesdays are weird, right? Because you don't have any contact with your teachers live. You don't have any Zooms or anything set up, but your teachers still have tasks for you to do. So in our case, I asked that you come today with this information. So it was kind of perhaps a lot, but I just sort of threw on you, we're in decision time. This is a year of decisions, not just dreaming about the future. The future is now. And so we need to really start thinking about what schools am I really interested in pursuing and which ones am I interested in actually applying to. And we've talked for the last 3 years about what schools were going to be right for you from an academic, social, and cost perspective. So now the rubber is meeting the road, and we need to decide on that. So, you certainly want to have a reach school or two. So those of you who plan on going to PCC right out the gate, I think that's a wonderful option, especially if we can get you the Oregon Promise, which pays for your education. But you're likely going to go somewhere else after that. So even if you don't plan on going to, say, Oregon State next year, you might eventually end up there. So it is still a good idea to do some research and find out, is that school going to be a school that I want to go to based on tuition, housing, its location, that kind of stuff. So I asked that you think about that. Hopefully you did. And then today we're kind of building off that. So you'll still have some time if you didn't do that to do some research. But ultimately, we're going to do a few things, but we're going to talk a little bit more about what this all means. And then I created a doc for you if you need it or want it. This is the first time I've done it, but it should make you, if you click on this, force a copy. So when you click on it, it should look something like, I don't know why it takes 10 times as long when I'm doing a Zoom. I guess I do, because it takes up a lot of my computer's time. It'll force you to make a copy, so you're making a copy into your own drive. But just to give you some organization if you need it, and this is not perfect, so if you have a different chart you want to make, that's fine, but just I made 5 rows for each college and then kind of an area for you to put all the different costs, so tuition, housing, if they have information about how much books cost, a meal plan, so that's other things to consider, and then some academic and other notes. I would like you to make some sort of doc that has this information on it. And once you have done that, so this is due by the end of the day, there is a Canvas discussion, and I didn't link to it here, but I will add that in just a minute. If you go into our course, which we have not really done a whole lot of just yet, teachers are being pushed to use just modules this year, and so I added this discussion in our modules. It's also in discussions, but I think I've hit it. Top 5 colleges. So you're going to post the link to your doc here. so that we can all see each other's colleges that we plan on pursuing, attending, all of that kind of stuff, okay? So you'll just hit reply, post the link to your doc, and that's that, okay? Any questions popping up for you? Feel free to either unmute yourself, you can raise your hand even, or type it in the chat. Cool, okay. So, first things first, I'm choosing to believe the future can still be beautiful. I needed that today. We're gonna do a little icebreaker just to get you talking, because I hate talking into the void, and I know after 4 years you're probably tired of hearing me blather on. So we've done a variation of this before, but I'm just gonna get you guys talking to each other, waking up a little bit. That does mean it'd be nice if you could reveal yourself, at least in your small groups. So consider doing that, and if nothing else, obviously unmute yourself. I was impressed on Tuesday when I asked you guys to go into your breakout rooms that everybody was on camera and participating. So I know you're there, and I know you're, you know, at least happy to see each other, if not the whole class at once. So here's the deal. You guys need to just chat. Figure out 5 things you have in common. I would challenge you to do quarantine edition or like last 6 months edition and see, you know, like what you've been up to most recently and if you have anything in common there. So shows you've watched or activities you've been doing. I saw in the slideshow that quite a few of you have been like outdoors or really involved in, you know, like the BLM movement and things like that. So try and find things that are more recent that you guys have been up to that you share in common. So I'd ask that you pick someone to jot down the things you have in common, so you can just pop them into the chat once we all get back together, okay? Seem fair? We can do this? Yeah, okay. I'm gonna send you into breakout rooms. I'm gonna do 4 participants per room so that you guys have a bigger group. Okay, 5 things you have in common. Somebody needs to write them down. You should get a little pop up here in a moment to join your room. Oh, they're going. Here they go. Do you have a room? Where are you, Aileen? Is she frozen? I think Aileen is frozen here. Yeah. Hello? Oh, who's Jan? Oh. Okay, Aileen, you're still frozen or something. You're having some issues, I think. Hi, Jan.
Hi, Ms. Mathis.
Hi. We're in breakout rooms right now.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna send you to breakout room 4. You guys are just talking about 5 things you have in common, quarantine edition.
Gotcha.
Okay. Okay. Looks like about everybody's back. It's so funny. Some of you were like super done and others of you were still working, but you should have appointed someone to be the note taker, and then they're going to type into the chat here for your group what it is that you guys have in common. Okay, very good. So there should be up to 5 things for your group members there. This might take a moment because you have some things to type, so feel free. It's interesting. Each group had a different vibe going on. I popped into each room. There was one that had all their cameras off, but they were talking, which is fine. Like that's all we can get at 8:30 in the morning. I get it. Well, thanks, Omar. You all have siblings. Tonight you're all seniors, you're all in my class, you all have siblings, binge watch TV shows, and you're all 17. Is anybody 18? Has anyone turned 18 yet?
Yeah, me.
You have, Kevin?
Yeah.
Gosh, you're an adult officially. That's wild.
You know who else is 18? You know who else is 18?
Who?
Jan.
Jan's 18 already as well?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I'm almost 18.
You're 18 too?
Right.
Almost 18.
Almost. When's your birthday?
October 2nd.
Oh my God, you guys. Are you gonna vote? Gotta vote. You're 18. So it's a rite of passage, right? Very good. Okay, so Zanette's group I went over. Omar, you can all drive, you all work. Okay. Abdi's group, we know how to drive. That's all we got. You're probably all, you know, like in my class and at BHS and stuff, but those are, you know, kind of easy. Caitlin, all in AVID, y'all drive, all have brown eyes, y'all have siblings, y'all have dark hair. Oh, those are all really good. Kaylee, y'all babysit. Okay. Y'all sleep a bit. Y'all live in Oregon, all have dark hair, all went to the beach. Very good. Cool. Again, I loved seeing your pictures from what you've been up to over these last few months. And so thank you for sharing. Carlina, you're all Hispanic, brown eyes, at least cooked one good meal during quarantine, all went to some sort of lake. That's specific. I like it. And then you all did some sort of art activity. Very cool. I'm trying to think of how we can incorporate art into maybe this class this year. There's a New York Times contest coming up that's coming of age in 2020, but I don't know if any of your other classes are gonna do that as well, but it sounds pretty cool. Like they'll take whatever, like art or writing or pictures, whatever, just as evidence of like what people your age have been doing over these last 6 months, and how it's impacted your generation in particular. So I'm playing around with us doing that. So cool, thanks for sharing. Got you talking a little bit. I love it. We're gonna talk briefly about the email etiquette thing that you did on Tuesday, which feels like maybe it's just me, but that was a year ago or something. This week has just been the longest week ever. But thank you to those of you who sent me an email after you read the do's and don'ts of how to send emails to someone somewhat professionally. So, you know, technically a professor in college isn't, you know, your boss by any means, but college professors are notoriously salty people, meaning if you go to a teacher in high school and you ask something in any kind of way, the teacher is very kind and like, oh, of course. And they're just so happy that you're like coming to them for help. College professors, DGAF, like they just don't care. They're getting paid either way, whether you're there or not. And so going to them and the way you approach them can yield good results or very bad results, because they are not always terribly nice people. And that is not to scare you. That is just to impress upon you. If you approach them in the right way, they will be open to responding. So it is super important if you have a teacher or a professor in college who you need to contact for any reason, don't be afraid to do so. Just make sure you do it in the way that is in their eyes appropriate, which means having some etiquette. So you guys did an awesome job following the do's and don'ts when you emailed me. So you were really great about identifying yourself and what class specifically you're dealing with. I don't know if you know this, but there are some classes that you'll have that have up to, you know, like I was in some classes that had like 300 people in a lecture hall. I know that Berkeley has some classes that have like 1,200 people and it's one professor, and then the professor has a bunch of other students that it's like basically their job to be his assistants. And so there's like 20 people technically you could contact for that class that are kind of teachers for it. But I mean, that is something that could be a very real possibility. So it is very important for you to identify yourself and the specific class that you're taking. So that I noticed you guys did really well. You were also very clear in communicating what you wanted and got straight to the point. So that was great because professors don't have a lot of time. They're probably getting lots of emails from lots of people, and they need you to be forward and direct when you're contacting them. One student who wrote an email, I really liked that they just sort of seamlessly integrated into their email. If you'd like to meet face-to-face, to discuss this further, and they offered the professor times that they were available. That is very forward of you to do, but it actually shows the professor that you mean business, and by offering them some times that work for you, that gives them something to work with. So that was actually a really smart move on their part, so I think that was great. The only thing that I noticed you guys doing that a professor might be somewhat like not annoyed with, but might have a problem with is you don't, like you were addressing whoever it was, but you would just leave it in one big blob of a paragraph. So try and separate out, like it's a very nitpicky thing. And the professor might not care unless they're an English teacher like me, but, and then always sign off. Some of you didn't sign off with your name. So just keep that in mind as well. So, and it seems a little repetitive to do that because you say who you are, but it's just a courtesy thing. So you guys nailed it. I responded to each of you who emailed me. So very good job. Any questions on the email etiquette thing? And you can just unmute yourself if you do.
Do you just check your email for school? Because I think I sent it to you through like actual email.
What do you mean by actual email? Because I think
like I went on my phone and emailed you.
Oh, did I not respond?
I was looking through my email box, my mailbox, but it's not showing up.
Okay. Well, once we get to some independent work time, I'll double check. I'm making a note here to check. Yeah, everybody that I did get, I responded to, but our email has like a spam filter. So if you send it from your personal email, it might have gone in there. So I'll double check.
Okay.
Yeah, good question.
Thank
Any
you.
other questions about email? The same is true for office hours. So college professors have office hours, and that's like a time during the week that they're literally just hanging out in their office available to you to ask questions. It's always a really good idea to go there just to ask maybe a question you already know the answer to even, but just to introduce yourself and to kind of get in with the professor can be really helpful. So I know in college I had a professor that she was really nice in class, but it wasn't until I went to her office hours that we really were able to chat and connect. And then I took more classes from her in the future, and she would always like look to me to help her out if there was like a discussion that wasn't going well or something. So it's kind of, you definitely want them on your side if you can. Okay, any other questions about the email stuff? Okay. Doesn't it feel different this year? Like everything we were working for before, it was like, oh, someday this will matter. But now it's like, this is going to be your life really soon. So I don't know, feels different to me. Okay, so here's the deal. I asked you to do this yesterday, or at least get started on making some notes or writing some stuff down. But this is our big task for today, which for some of you, you know exactly what you want. And that might just be one college. I'm asking you to pick 5, okay? Even if you know what college you want to apply to, because of a few reasons. We may find that we can't get you the financial aid package that you need to attend that school, so costs can be prohibitive. We may find that there's something about that school that's your top school that is just not going to happen. And so you need alternatives. And it is always a good idea to apply to at least 3 schools, oftentimes more, just to see what kind of money you can get for that school. For some of you, you may be looking at schools out of state. And so I want to direct your attention to, and you can either open up a tab on your own computer right now or write it down, but there's something called the WUI, and we've talked about it before. It stands for Western Undergraduate Exchange. If you are interested in attending school outside of the state just because you want to get out of here, please go to this website first before you decide on a school that you want to go to, say in California. There are schools in California that are a part of this program where you don't pay nearly as much out-of-state fees as you would normally. So let me see if I can find for undergrads. So I would ask that you kind of, oh, why did it go to which? It tricked me. This isn't the actual WUI website. Trying to find which website I have used before that was really clear. So these are the states that are eligible. There's a whole bunch. It's the whole Western United States, including places like Hawaii and Alaska. So if you're interested in going there, it has some general tuition rates for certain universities here that are the most popular WUI schools. There's a booklet, a handout. So dig into that if that's something you're interested in, though I know not all of you are, but I know quite a few of you are. So do some research on those and check the tuition cost, perhaps on the WUI website versus the actual college website, because it might be much less and much different. And you might be surprised at how inexpensive it can be to go to school out of state as well. So look into things. Tuition is obviously, cost is number one, so tuition and housing. We also need to start looking at the application process. So we've talked about how rubber is meeting the road this year. We need to know, that's why I did that, stupid. We need to know when like deadlines are and things. So if you're really interested in applying to a school, definitely start looking into when their applications are due. Some schools have early admissions, and so if you're interested in applying early admissions, then that could mean you're applying to this college as early as October, and deadlines are around November. So be thinking about that because some of these things are coming up very quickly. Consider its location. Do you want to stay close to home? Do you want to get out of state, right? Is it realistic for you? Academic offerings. Some of you know exactly what you want to do, right? Some of you know you want to go into nursing or you want to go into law or whatever. Others of you have no idea. So that actually leaves you more open. Like you could almost go anywhere and probably be pretty happy to start off. You do not have to know your major when you apply for colleges. So I know some of you are feeling a little bit anxious and maybe like sad, or I don't know what the right emotion is, but like you don't know what you want to do. And that by not knowing somehow you're failing at something, that is not true. A lot of people go, I would say over half of students go into college either not knowing what they want to do or going in as a declared nursing major, let's say, and then changing their major. I did that. Most people I know did that. So, you know, your interests once you get to college change because you become this different person when you go to school. Most people find that they like really find themselves, and so their major changes. Clubs on off-campus life, especially if you're going to leave your home, getting involved and meeting people is a priority. And then work study, which we talked about towards the end of last year, but COVID kind of messed us up. This term, work study, that means you can work on campus and they pay you really well. And for the most part, most of the work study jobs, you just sit in an office and you help students when they come in. But it's a really easy gig, and you get paid like 15 to 20 bucks an hour to do it. So look into the work study if they offer it. Okay. So that's what I want you to spend the rest of the time doing. So we've been on this call for about half an hour, and that seems about good to me. And then I want you to go do this because it's going to take some time. And I'm willing to, if it just feels so weird to like not be in the same room as you guys. I'm happy and willing to put you into breakout rooms so that you can work together on this if you want, like if you are craving being with the people in this class that you miss. So if you want to work together on Zoom, not doing the same sheet, you all need your own top five schools. But, you know, like if you just want to hang out and work together in the same room, I understand. So this is your task, to get your top 5 colleges looked into, and by tomorrow, really by tonight, have that done, and then post the link on this discussion on Canvas. Okay? Questions, comments, concerns? I see new comments. Yeah, thanks, Vicki, for popping that in there. You guys are so good. This is what teachers do in our teacher meetings. Our chat is like always blowing up because we're like sharing stuff with each other. Are you supposed to make slides of the colleges? Good question. No. So if you look on the calendar or on the actual discussion, I'm just asking that you're gonna make a copy of this and just fill it in, or you can make your own doc. So if you prefer slides, that's fine, but this is not something I'm gonna make you present to all of us. It'll be something that you discuss tomorrow with like your group mates. So, and then I will look to see if you did it. As far as attendance goes, teachers are kind of deciding on their own what attendance looks like. I would say for today, to show me that you were like engaged, I would want not only you to be in the Zoom meeting, but you to have done this, which again, directly impacts your future. So any other questions you're thinking? Okay, so I'm gonna let you go. Just go do this, do some research. You can either do that on your own, or if you wanna stay behind and get hooked up with some people in the class, and you guys can do this together.